It's great to be live with you all again for Truth Bombs. Today I am joined by Lauren Freeman Roth, who just left the corporate news. Cheers to
yes.
going independent.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me here.
It's good to have you. So she was at one of the, I think it was the top rated TV station here in Houston.
Yeah,
Channel
one of
2.
them. Yeah, Channel 2 here in Houston.
And you just left a couple months ago. And so we're going to jump into why you left, your take on the corporate news. Everyone wants to know how scripted is all of reality that we're seeing. You know, the NFL is going viral right now for being scripted, and we're going to talk about that.
Such a crazy story.
So let's talk about how scripted is the news, how scripted is the NFL. We're going to jump into that, and we're going to jump into this debate over Newsmax being now deleted from DirecTV after they also got rid of OAN. Are conservative, how censored are conservatives right now? Lawmakers are trying to figure that out. And then we're going to talk about this Chinese spy balloon as well. Jump into that. And
this is a crazy story as well. You picked some really good ones to discuss today.
It's
right?
Strange things going on in the news right now. I don't know if you guys saw the video of what looked like a mini moon up in the sky. It's actually a balloon from the Chinese, apparently. So we're going to dive into all of that. So before we do, I got a real quick shout out. The sponsor of my coverage, Noble Gold Investments, is pleased to let you know that gold is the best investment class of 2022. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds, gold outperformed all of them in 2022. So what are you waiting for? Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands of clients buy physical real gold. Open a gold IRA or silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments this month and receive a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualifying IRA of $50,000. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments. And there are thousands of 5-star reviews. If you're not ready and you want to look into it, you can go to their Noble Gold Investment Gold Guide, which is linked down in my description. Just click that link down in my description. If you're on a mobile phone, you can hit the more button and get that link and learn more. But gold is the way to go right now in this crazy, uncertain times. Okay, with that being said, Lauren, spill the beans. How scripted is the corporate news?
Well, look, it has to be scripted to an extent, right? I mean, we plan every story. Every story has a certain amount of time that it airs, and we know who we're interviewing and all those type of things, because you have to have it very scripted to put on a newscast every day, right? I think the question that a lot of people want to ask, and that I get from a lot of people when I'm out and about, is who picks the stories? Why are those specific stories chosen? Anchors don't pick the stories. I was a television anchor for decades, not just here in Houston, but in Florida, in Waco, in Minneapolis. And so, yeah, I mean, look, everything has to be scripted to an extent just to get it all done and covered. Do you agree?
Right.
I mean, you were in it for a while.
I can just say that everything that I said on air had to be pre-screened by my boss. It had to be written down. My boss had to read it, you know, because if I was primarily a field reporter, but did some anchoring as well. And absolutely, the anchored scripts are extremely scripted. But out in the field, like you feel a little bit more like you're telling people what you saw. So you feel like, okay, I got more of a grasp on truth if I'm out in the field. But even being out in the field and saying, I witnessed this, my boss is saying, did you write it down, send it in to me? I'm going to decide whether you really saw that and send it back to you. Okay. So that, you know, even in breaking news situations, quick screen read what Ivory's going to say and make sure that every single word I'm saying is scripted. So that gets to be a little bit much.
So I'm going to be honest. I reported not as much in my career, and it's been years since I reported. And back when I did report, that wasn't the case. You didn't always have to send in your script, especially on breaking news. You never sent it in. Nice. So that wasn't scripted at all. Now, if it was a story that you'd kind of been working on all day, sure, you'd send in a script. And I always like to have another set of eyes on mine. I always felt like that was like I was.
It is a good idea to make sure that, you know, you don't have some obvious fact error.
Right. Or when you're not from a place and you don't want to say the wrong, you know, Houston in Montgomery County.
Exactly.
You don't want to mess something up like that. And you're so hyper aware of that, especially when I remember when I started in Jacksonville, Florida, and I didn't know the area at all. And so I was always very cognizant of making sure I had those type things right. So the business has changed over the years. That is certainly the case. We know that. So, but I didn't know that in some cases reporters in the field were having to send in breaking news to be pre-read.
So as an anchor, though, you're reading all scripts, obviously, in the teleprompter. Now, who's writing those scripts?
So we have writers, you have executive producers, you have producers of the show that are putting those together, writing those. Reporters are sending in information through the day as well. But anchors traditionally, especially at the Houston level, really don't write a whole lot. Now, we'll change something up, or if we have questions, then that happens.
Now, I don't know about your outlook. You guys are an NBC affiliate. So we were Fox owned, and we had a lot of scripts fed straight down from New York, scripts that were disseminated nationally, where anchors across the nation, we've seen the montages, are all saying the same thing.
Yes.
So how often was that happening in your newscast, where you were just reading a script like out of New York?
Well, yeah, that happens all the time, because think about it. AP sends out a lot of information out. If you're in a CNN affiliate, they send out a lot of information. If you're an NBC affiliate, so you're getting national news, not local news, but national news from those three sources. And an AP, really, in my opinion, is the one that sends out probably most of it to the affiliates as well.
Right. So if you wanted to disseminate propaganda, theoretically, the easiest way is to infiltrate the AP, because they go out to every news outlet. And when the pandemic hit in 2020, a lot of people felt like there was this big narrative that was being pushed in the news. And like the news no longer had a grasp on reality. It was just like the government's narrative. And, you know, you probably know my story of like when I left Fox in 2021, it was after facts on the ground that I was, collecting as a reporter. Suddenly they didn't fit that national narrative. So they were tossed out, and I was like, hold up, but this is what's actually happening on the ground. So, but anyways, from your experience, did you feel like you were being told to read like a propaganda script?
I wouldn't have called it a propaganda script. No, I mean, it was, I think everybody kind of throughout the newsroom would look at it and try and agree upon it. And in my view, the way it was happening is, I mean, when it first started happening, no one knew what was going on, right? You're like, what? There's this illness.
Unprecedented.
Yeah. And, everyone, there was an element of fear to everyone. I mean, I have 5 children. I was like, go buy the vitamin C and zinc and vitamin D. And, I'm very holistic. And I thought, we don't really know what this is. And so as it continued to play out, we were all asking questions. And I think some of the questions that some people wanted answered didn't always get answered, if you get my drift there. But I think as it played out, it began to get more confusing to people. I think people began to be more polarized by it.
Yeah.
People, in some cases, I mean, they would come up to me and say it. They began to lose trust in the media through this. Well, you're not answering this question. Well, what about this? Well, no one's telling us these things. And so it became a dividing point for a lot of people that would come and talk to me just out on the street, or, when you're walking through your neighborhood, where they felt like the media wasn't telling the full story.
So you noticed an uptick in your personal life in like viewers approaching you saying, hey, can you please get to the bottom of something?
Yes. And I have to say, probably over the last 5 years, people would come up and say less than pleasant things.
Really?
They were never hateful, but they didn't always have positive things to say. They would say, the media is biased, or the media always has negative news stories on. How can we never see anything positive? There's all these positive things that go on in our communities, and that never gets covered. And it's an awkward conversation to have, honestly. Right. I mean, I'm not the one per se making the call on what we cover, but I'm the face that they know. And so, I would say over the last 5, maybe 7 years, it started to get more uncomfortable with what people wanted to talk about in public.
So is that what drove you to leave, or what drove you to say I quit?
Well, so we got new management. They did not want part-time workers. I had no interest in working full-time. So that was an easy decision. I have 5 kids who are growing up so quickly, and I didn't want to miss anything with them. And so that was a breaking point there. But also and I've had some opportunities to get back into the business that I've said absolutely not to. I've made that conscious decision that I'm not getting back into television
Really?
news. Yeah.
Same
So-
here. Same here. I got
Yeah.
so many opportunities after I left Fox, and I couldn't bring nothing in me wanted to go back.
Right.
And just before we started this live stream, I asked you how it's going independent, and you're like, I should have done this long ago.
I wish I'd left 5 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that, honestly.
Wow.
I love it. I enjoy it. I'm very much on chapter 1 at this point. I'm learning new technologies. I'm learning new things. It's so much fun. I over the years have become super passionate about health and wellness and beauty, really more in the wellness realm, just nutrition and making sure our kids have a good foundation. And so that's become such a passion of mine that it's so much fun to get to share that.
Yes, actually share your interests
Yes.
now. So we are going to look at what you are doing now before we dive into these other headlines. I can't wait. Is the NFL scripted, you guys? We got to dive into this. But okay, let's look at this top one. I checked your former employer's website. They still got you up there.
Oh, they do?
Look at this.
Okay. Well,
You're
there you
still
go.
on their page. I think they want you back.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I'm sure that's just an oversight. Just an oops.
after this show, they'll take you down. Okay, I liked this quote you had on your bio page. Be a voice, not an echo. Albert Einstein. And people definitely feel like all of the news outlets are just an echo right now of each other doing the same narrative. So I'm sure you feel like you have your voice back now.
Yeah, I do. And again, I get to focus on something that I'm passionate about. That, someone asked me a while back when they were offering me some opportunities still in the news business. And they said, don't you miss the news of the day though? And I said, not at all. I don't want any. And honestly, I thought I would, but I'm like, no, I don't want any part of it anymore.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at your YouTube. Okay. This is your brand new YouTube, you guys. People can click it, link down in my description, and follow. Go support someone who just went independent. This encourages more news people to do the same. And I think that's what we need to do in 2023. We don't need to be a part of a news corporation anymore. So I wanted to ask your advice now for people getting into the news biz in 2023 as the media industry has changed so much. What's your advice to them?
That's a really big decision. That's a really big thing to think through, because also not only is it a dilemma of, are you comfortable with what's being broadcast out there, but also just in the 25 years that I was in it, I just watched the pay decrease over the years. And so I hate that about the industry, because you know what? There's so many good people still, still in media.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's not the people, most of the faces are not bad people.
Right. And literally there's so many good writers. They're young writers who are passionate about what they do, and they pay them so little that bothers me. That always bothered me.
And you guys know why the pay is going down, right? It's because the viewership's going down. People aren't watching traditional news anymore. Right. They're getting news from alternative sources like YouTube or, various online blogs or what have you. And so I think it's time that the news people get a grip on that and shift where they are putting out the news. Because think about it, back in the day when we went to college, to get to reach the audience, right? You want to be a journalist, reach audience with what's going on in the world. You needed to connect with them through a media platform like a TV station or a newspaper, because social media wasn't really a thing. Now that social media is out there, you don't need to be working for an outlet anymore. This is the era of independent journalism. I keep saying it. I still believe in journalism school and learning real journalism, but you don't need to actually work for a news corporation anymore. Right. And actually, it's fascinating to see so many independent people making big money.
It is crazy. And literally the day, I think I left the station on a Friday and I met with you Saturday.
Perfect timing.
Because you have done such a great job. I mean, you really have. You put together really an impressive platform. And so that's why I wanted to come talk to you. But some other people that I've met with along the way also said, do you have any idea how profitable what you're getting into can be? And I said,
people have no idea.
I didn't. I had no idea. Like, I just decided I wanted to do this because it's fun. I believe in it. I think there are a lot of like really incredible voices out there right now that I'd love to interview and bring to a platform. But no, I had no idea. But apparently, there's tons of money to be made in it. I had no idea.
Tons, if you can grow your audience. So the number one thing, what I would tell people nowadays is work on growing your social media audience. And then you monetize that audience. Then the advertisers get placed directly on your platform. And you can choose which advertisers. You can kick out Big Pharma. You don't have to be financed by Big Pharma and the government. Mm-hmm. You can make sure that you're uncompromised that way. Mm-hmm. And that ad revenue is not getting split between an entire huge TV station. It's going all to you. So independent journalism pays off.
I agree. And I think I think you can still get experience and knowledge by working in traditional mainstream media. You just have to really, as a person, decide if that's something you want to do or not.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of people still very comfortable in doing that.
Totally. It is a good experience. I learned so much in my 9 years in corporate news, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Mm-hmm. So every person who's going into mainstream media right now, I still applaud them. And
do you notice that fewer people though are going into the media?
Yeah, well, into mainstream media, I think. Yeah. A lot of people are going into independent ventures. I know one of my producers back at Fox, she quit to work for a podcaster.
Okay.
To be a producer for a podcaster. So the media landscape's changing and going into things like that, which is exciting, but I'm just wondering how the journalism school professors are handling all this right now.
I don't know. I don't know how that's being discussed. I don't know how it's being taught. Yeah. Right? I mean, I'm older than you are, so I had more of like a true mainstream journalism type trajectory in college. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how now with social media and things like that, how that's being taught. I mean, I would hope that the standards are still the same.
Right. Journalism ethics and, what qualifies as journalism versus propaganda. That should never change. Right. But as far as how to reach your audience, that's changing drastically.
Well, and that's the ticket. That's the key. It's the marketing aspect of it, right? Don't you think?
If switching from being on KPRC to being on TikTok or whatever is a marketing change, then yeah, because the audience is on TikTok.
Well, that's true.
And I know a lot of people are sketched out about TikTok like it's a Chinese spy app, and we're getting into Chinese spying on this show today.
Yeah.
Because now they're using balloons too, I guess. But here's the thing. I get that China is probably collecting our data through our TikTok apps. I'm already a public figure. I've accepted that I'm a public figure and that people are going to spy on me. And I'm just like, you have to come as a journalist, you come to terms with that. Okay, people are going to spy on me. So I need to reach my audience. They're going to spy on me regardless. If China wants to spy on little me while I reach my audience, I'm going to be on TikTok. That's just me. Okay. And I tell everyone who's getting into this industry or, trying to build their audience, get on TikTok. It is the easiest place to grow. And I have told a number of people who took my advice and they blew up. I mean, like 500,000 followers, 1 million followers, like out of nowhere, because they took my advice more than I take my own advice with TikTok.
I took your advice. I got on it, but I need to pay more attention to it.
Just you'll hit that sweet spot with one TikTok. Will just get like 1 million views, and then you're set. And then you got your audience. And then
it's a good reminder.
Then you can move your audience to YouTube. Say, hey, I'm posting this on YouTube. You reach your TikTok audience and tell them to go follow you on these healthier channels that aren't controlled by China. But for some reason right now in America, this Chinese app is the easiest way to reach American citizens.
I figure if anyone really wanted our data, they could probably get it.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but.
Exactly. So before we get deeper into Chinese spying, let's look at. Oh, we got a super chat, you guys. Thank you, Kevin. Welcome to the club, Lauren.
Thank you,
That's
Kevin.
right.
Yes, thank
to
you.
Be independent.
Mhm.
All right. What else are they saying?
There's a good one here. This one.
Independent news is very big. People rather get news from a person who has free speech than being told what you can share and can't. Yeah, I really think unscripted stuff is where it's at right now. Like people are tired of, like, they can tell when you're reading a script and when you're not, and they're just
Totally, and that's been a transition for me because
Isn't it? Let's talk
I have
about that.
been reading scripts. I perfected the art of reading scripts, right? For years, decades. So now I'm back to ad-libbing everything, and
we have like, and we're like, we don't really have training in ad-libbing. That wasn't allowed. So no, that was a transition for me for sure. I was just like, okay, I gotta have free flow of my thoughts for this long, which is, we didn't have any experience with that. Okay, Kenny says mainstream media along with cable satellite TV is on its way out. YouTube, Facebook, etc. is the new TV. Totally.
Yeah.
And that's why the censorship on those platforms is so concerning right now, because they are deleting a lot. Like I posted, one of my first YouTubes was involved peer-reviewed studies of treatment in the pandemic, and that got deleted by YouTube, and I almost lost my whole channel for showing inconvenient facts in a peer-reviewed study. And so that's, I think a lot of America hasn't woken up to the fact that these platforms, major platforms now, YouTube, Facebook, are censoring facts, not opinions. Okay, so I cannot wait to show you guys the Arian Foster video. Leave it to us in Houston to shake things up. Arian Foster is a Houston guy. He's a big NFL player. He's no longer with the NFL right now. So he's, I guess, spilling the beans on the NFL. And some people say this is sarcasm. Some people say, no, he's spilling the truth. But here it is.
I saw part of the first game, and then it was really boring. Especially when the quarterback went out. I'm like, what is this?
Oh, real quick. Okay, so he's on this Barstool Sports podcast, and they're talking about last week's playoff game for the NFL.
Okay.
And how the first game of the day was super boring, but the last game, Bengals versus Kansas City, was very interesting. It was right down to the wire, almost like it was scripted. And then they get okay, so here it is.
I saw part of the first game, and then it was really boring. Especially when the quarterback went out. I'm like, what is this?
That game sucked.
Yeah, it's just one of the worst games I've watched in a long time. And then so I saw like maybe a drive or two of the first game. I was like, I'm just not in the mood for football. I'm going to go get some ramen.
Yeah, the second game was good. The Bengals-Chiefs game, it was interesting at least.
Yeah.
Some shit happened at the end. So, Arian, it's funny, before we started taping, Arian was telling me about how the NFL is rigged and how every year he used to get a script.
Yeah.
Day one of training camp that would get dropped off at his locker. And you would have to, it was like week 1, you'll do this. Week 2, you're going to have a hamstring injury. Week 3, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Week 4, you're going to get 3 touchdowns. And so then you just have to, did you memorize those before the season started, or would you go and rehearse the script before every game?
We were really dedicated to it. So it was more so like that's what practice was about. It was about practicing the script. Like, this is what goes on, and this is what we have to do in order to,
And this referee is going to miss this call.
Yeah,
because they hate you and they love the Colts, that sort of thing.
WWF, so it's like, you know, we know what's going to happen, but you still got to put on a show.
Yeah.
What did you think when you got the script in 2016 that said your career was going to fall off a cliff when you stopped believing in God?
That was 2015.
Yeah.
Around there. That was 2015. And oddly enough, the script writers, it didn't have anything to do with that, actually. It just had more so to do with they needed to change the scenery in Houston.
It was time to go.
Yeah, it was time to go. So they wanted to get everybody out of Houston. That was the ultimate goal. So that was what that was about.
Whoa!
Were they macro dosing when they were? I saw the name of the podcast was macro dosing. Were they macro dosing?
I wonder. Yeah,
I mean,
you
very
think he
funny.
was serious or just?
I think it was sarcasm. Don't you?
I think it was sarcasm with like an ounce of like, but really there might be something rigged. I don't at all think that everything is scripted in the NFL, but like some people, maybe including Arian, think that like possibly small things are controlled by the higher up. Like in the MLB, it's come out that different baseballs are different weights, which means you're going to be able to hit the baseball further and have more home runs in that game. If they want an exciting game with a lot of home runs,
They might.
the
alter
MLB might rig it that way without the player's knowledge.
Okay.
So he might be hinting at that through a lot of sarcasm. But so countless NFL players went to town with this. Let's look at the next video. They started tweeting up a storm about this.
Mm-hmm.
I am having a very bad day. I'm in no mood. This today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
Yeah, so that's one of the NFL players being like, yeah, week 7, that script was bad for me. Here's the Fox News covering NFL players reveal their reactions, the scripts that they were given. Okay, so let's look at some of their reactions. So this NFL player, Alvin Kamara, says, when they handed me the script for our season during camp, I almost walked out of the field bra. And he tags Aaron. This player says, when the script got handed to Aaron, oh, this isn't a player. This is a fan who said, when the script got handed to Aaron Hernandez, as you'll recall, his script said you got to murder someone and get kicked off the team after murdering someone. Obviously, this is sarcasm. What's that?
Yeah, that had a very tragic ending. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize he committed suicide.
Yeah,
Oh my word. Micah Parsons says, shake my head. I might show the script from the playoffs. He's not happy about his team. And Marlon Humphrey says, me giving up 200 to Chase was just me following the script. Okay, so all their mistakes are just the script now, okay?
Right.
Who the F wrote the Vegas ending? After I read my NFL script and it said that I had to get cut 5 times by age 25.
I think that at this point, I think it's all about humor, right?
Exactly.
Clever.
Me when I got the script for our 2021 season. Me a lion after reading our 2008 script. Yeah, so all the bad seasons were just scripts, you guys.
That's great.
No wonder they scripted that flag to trap me before my first NFL start. The interceptions weren't scripted, I promise.
Right. Yeah, no, that's very clever.
Oh
that's
my
funny.
gosh.
But remember the old saying, give them bread and circuses and they'll never revolt.
Yeah?
Yeah, so maybe there is somebody pulling the strings. No, I think the NFL. Look, I mean, it's crazy enough to watch them, right? I mean, you have these big, huge, strong men going at each other.
Right.
It's enough.
It's what's that? WWE?
No,
WWE is scripted.
that is scripted.
That is scripted. So
Yeah.
would it be too far-fetched to also script NFL?
That's true. A lot more people though that you would have to be choreographing.
Oh, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
WWE is like 2 or 3 in the ring at once.
Yeah.
But
that's a
people
challenge.
who love WWE love WWE. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I never got it. I never understood that.
My kids went through like a minute of it and we would watch it on like Friday nights and they knew all the little sayings but I mean they were like 5. It was funny and cute,
Just knowing that it's scripted just like takes the fun out of it.
Well, I mean, like people still watch soap operas.
I know. I still watch like good movies with good plots.
Yeah.
But like for some reason, something like that, I'm like, it's scripted. I'll watch the NFL because I thought it wasn't scripted.
I'm still thinking it's not, but you never know.
I think it's not as well.
Yeah.
Unless it's small things like how inflated are the balls.
Yeah.
That could be the only
But
thing
I mean,
that's
if the ball's inflated, overinflated, underinflated, whatever, I mean, that affects both sides.
Yeah.
Right?
So
both teams would have trouble holding it or,
freaking hard. It
Yes.
like we harken back to the Astros cheating.
Yeah.
And like, even if they did cheat, that is an art to be able, what were they? Banging a trash can within a split second of like a ball.
And then to being able to hear the taps and interpret.
Right.
Like, I think it would be more of a distraction.
Exactly.
I'd be like, quit tapping the trash can so I can hit the ball.
Exactly. So, that doesn't affect me as a baseball fan. I still want to watch.
Yeah.
But
I agree. Me too.
if anything, that's more interesting. Like, wow, let's detect the cheating. That is incredible. JJ says, JJ, our
Vegas.
director, says that Vegas controls the outcome. Ultimately, it's Vegas, huh? See if the viewers agree.
Well, there's always a lot of money on all these NFL games, right? Out of Vegas, especially the Super Bowl and all.
Yeah. Especially if like the owners are in on these bets, right?
No one's saying anything.
Nobody's
Okay.
saying anything. Okay. Cool. So let's go to the Chinese spy balloon. Now, China said that they had one of their weather balloons go astray. It just accidentally floated across the Pacific Ocean.
To America,
So
to the
there's just a little
heartland.
body of water there that it accidentally got across, and here we are in the USA. And some guy in Montana happened to say, "What the heck is that next to the moon? That's not a planet." And sure enough, the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, confirms it. We see the Fox News article. Chinese spy balloon over central U.S. will be in U.S. airspace for a few days, the Pentagon says. So the Pentagon, the Biden administration is getting criticized for not shooting this thing down.
So here, I have a lot of questions about this. So what's it looking at exactly? Just weather data? Is this like official
the Chinese
story?
are saying it's weather, but all Americans know
Okay.
that they're not looking at our weather. They're
So, and then what, because it's what, in the Kansas City area? Is that where it's staying?
At last check, I believe that's what the Fox News article said, is that now it's, as of today, it's in Kansas City, but it was spotted yesterday or the day before for the first time in Montana.
Okay, so it's moving around.
Yeah. Okay. So if we scroll down, JJ, we got a video, soundbite from the Department of Defense trying to explain to reporters that everything's going to be fine as the Chinese have this thing.
Yeah, skies.
Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it's not like an armed balloon that's going to shoot something at us. Here he is.
Position of the balloon classified?
Phil, right now, what we're not going to do is get into a hour-by-hour location of the balloon. Again, we're monitoring it closely. As I mentioned, right now, it's over the center of the continental United States. That's about as specific as I'm going to get.
But I understand it might be inconvenient, but does the public not have a right to know if a balloon
the public
is over their
certainly
state?
has the ability to look up in the sky and see where the balloon is. Thank you. Qasim?
General, you said the balloon is maneuverable. So does that mean that it's not drifting?
So the balloon is maneuverable. Clearly, it's violated U.S. airspace, and again, we've communicated that fact to the PRC.
If possible, can you tell us if the balloon, when it entered the U.S. airspace, has it changed its course in any way?
The balloon has changed its course, which is again why we're monitoring it. But that's about as specific as I can.
Yeah. So this is a little
curious, sir.
This balloon is driving around, scoping out certain areas, and the Defense Department is monitoring it. He said, because reporters were saying, "Why aren't you guys shooting this thing down? It's already violated international
airspace.
law."
Yeah.
And they said, "Well, it's so big. If we shoot it down, there could be collateral damage. It's hitting, civilians." So they were like, "Well, if it goes over an area where there's no civilians, are you going to shoot it down?" He's like, "We won't say." If it approaches DC, are you going to shoot it down? We won't say. But he wasn't saying a lot, but they're looking at it.
So they're monitoring it.
Yeah.
But it's been over somewhat populated areas, right? Like Kansas City area.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's been traversing multiple states now over countless people, so. And China confirmed that it's theirs, but they're saying it's just a weather balloon. It's nothing.
Could it be? Yeah, I mean, they're in our airspace. I was going to say, could it be deemed as not like an action? Not what's the phrase I'm using here? Like, would it be something that the Chinese would say, "Oh, you shot down our this," and we could retaliate or something like that?
It could lead to
heightened issues.
Exactly. So I'm sure that's what the Biden administration is concerned about, is if they shoot this thing down, then there might be further retaliation from China, and then that could lead to war.
Mm-hmm.
But you're just being a pushover at this point, saying you're violating our law, but we're so scared of you, China. Do whatever you want with us. We'll just watch your mini moon float over our nation.
Well, I mean, China sends us so many goods that we buy from them.
That's true.
So
like,
many
we
goods.
don't want to get cut off from that.
Yeah, you look at our economy and you look how little we actually produce. I'm not talking about food, but I'm talking about like items that are sold on a store shelf. How many?
Yeah.
We produce very few things here in America anymore.
Yeah,
it's all shipped in from
industrial stuff
China.
like steel and like tires and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
couches and your rugs.
This is probably a Chinese couch. I didn't check.
Well, I mean, so much is imported from China now.
Yeah. So, and as you recall, that's what Trump had this huge trade standoff with China, bad tensions with China because he was trying to get away from that and have more American made. But I think, Biden scrapped that now. We're back dependent on China. And now, now it looks like it feels like Biden's letting China bully us right now with this balloon.
Yeah. And it's you never know what's going on behind the scenes. Right?
Exactly. Oh, for
but
sure.
The optics of it are not good.
For sure. Yeah.
Public optics.
Whatever the Pentagon says, I take with a grain of salt because our Defense Department lives in secrecy. That's their power is staying secret so that the enemy doesn't know their next move, right? So whatever they're putting out to the American public, they understand they're putting out to the Chinese as well. So whatever they're telling us.
That's a good point.
Yeah, whatever they're telling us is what they want the Chinese to hear. So I take it all with a grain of salt.
That's a very good point. And I mean, when you look at propaganda in the past, it was always done that way, right? You know that yes, the American public's listening, but yeah, other adversaries or enemies or allies or whatever are listening too. So that's a good point. Very good point.
Exactly. Okay, so the other big story, you guys, is that Newsmax is being kicked off of DirecTV. CNN is covering this, and CNN says that conservatives are freaking out for nothing, you guys. Let's get everyone's take on this. I want to just play CNN's little report that they put out. Here it is.
Concerned that there's a pattern among a lot of the leaders in the media to censor conservatives.
OAN was deplatformed by DirecTV in April of 2022. So what's next? Fox News? Will the Weather Channel be canceled next if they refuse to bow to the left's altar of climate change?
These companies choose to silence conservative speech by first deplatforming or eliminating One America News, and now they're going after Newsmax.
Yeah, so conservatives really feel like this is a pattern now. DirecTV and CNN in their report there, they just said that the whole reason that DirecTV got rid of OAN was because of its misinformation or conspiracies that it was pushing, not because of like revenue share or economic reasons, not because of free market. OAN had actually grown in popularity before they got rid of OAN. So why would they get rid of OAN? Now they're saying in getting rid of Newsmax, it is because of money issues, nothing to do with politics. Right. And people don't believe that now based on why OAN was got rid of. But let me read what CNN said. So CNN says, at the center of the battle, Newsmax demanded DirecTV pay a carriage fee, tens of millions of dollars, according to a person familiar with the matter. Ooh, great source. To continue carrying the channel in the satellite carrier's lineup. DirecTV refused, saying that it did not want to pass additional costs down to the subscribers for a low-rated channel that a small percentage of viewers actually watched. DirecTV also balked at paying for the same content that streams to users for free on other platforms such as Roku and Newsmax's website. You can watch Newsmax for free. But Newsmax also grew immensely in popularity over the past few years. I guess it's ranked 16th in cable news channels. I think that's fairly high.
Sure.
So why would they get rid of it? They're saying it's a money matter. I don't know. So do you feel like conservatives are being censored or taken down in the media?
Well, I mean, with this particular issue, again, you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, right? We just know what CNN's reporting, some of these other lawmakers are saying. So I don't know if they truly were, the source that CNN was quoting was anonymous.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
What the truth is there. So here's what my take on things. As more and more people move away from TVs, does it matter in the long run? It may matter today, but I mean, I think that there's so many other platforms for them now to still reach viewers. I'm sure that's an ouch move there for these networks. I mean, they're going to feel that in the short term, but I think, you just have to keep in mind that fewer and fewer people do you turn on your TV? Do you watch anything on TV anymore?
I don't really.
I don't.
I know.
Ever.
I'm supposed to be a news analyst now, so I'm supposed to, but I hate turning on my TV.
I'm not exaggerating. I have no idea how to work my TV system. No idea. And I like it that way.
I don't know. Yeah. Our director, JJ, turned this TV on for me.
Like my 6-year-old can, but I can't. So I just think fewer and fewer people watch television.
Yeah.
And people tend to be going to their little niche to get news anyway
100%.
these days. So I just don't know in the long run if it's going to matter.
So Newsmax, just stream on YouTube. Hopefully YouTube doesn't censor you. But stream on YouTube and forget DirecTV. But I think it does, hurt their revenue and not reaching those DirecTV audiences and the ad revenue that comes with it. I'm sure that does suck.
Sure.
But like they talked about, OAN got kicked off of DirecTV last April, and they are still going. I don't know if they had to cut staff, but they're still putting on a great show. They had me on a couple times. But my neighbor across the street says that DirecTV is a ripoff anyway, guys. Just do Dish, if anything. Okay. He's like, do not do DirecTV.
We don't have DirecTV, so.
Yeah, so a lot of people are canceling their DirecTV. Theoretically, if Newsmax is popular enough and the free market is still intact, some of us wonder how free the market is right now and how much it's cronyism with these corporations in bed with the government. But theoretically, if the market's still free, enough viewers will quit their DirecTV. It'll hurt DirecTV enough that they'll have an incentive to bring OAN and Newsmax back on. But to cushion the blow, DirecTV said, look, we're not anti-conservative, and that's why we're adding on The First, which a lot of people probably don't know about The First, but it's another right-wing opinion commentary show. It's new. I think it's actually owned by CBS Viacom, you guys. So
interesting.
Watch out.
Disclaimer. Yeah.
I'm just saying these shows. Neighbor Chris, shout out. Yeah, it was Chris, the same guy that I pranked. If you saw my previous YouTube, he's awesome. And I was like, I hope I don't ruin my friendship with my neighbor by pranking him. But no, he thought it was hilarious. He was all in on it. But yeah, so he's giving me cable advice, and he's like, don't do DirecTV, they're wacko. But
this comment hit me right here.
TV is more for the boomer generation now, and they can't let go of it. Yes.
I'm the only one in my house that watches TV.
JJ's the only one who watches TV.
Oh no, Mike. When I transitioned over to YouTube, my kids range in age from 3 years old to 14, and my kids were like, "Oh, you're leaving TV news? Okay, yeah, whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do YouTube videos." They're like, "What? You're gonna be on YouTube? You didn't tell us." Oh my gosh!
You're excited?
That to them is like the end all, be all.
You made it.
That's where they get entertainment and information and what have you.
Right.
And so it's not like I personally would never allow my children to watch the news. And so if it was breaking news, we were on a storm.
Hold up. A TV news anchor won't let her kids watch the news.
Never. They were not allowed to watch the news under any circumstance.
Because it's too negative?
Too negative. You're just putting hateful, terrible things into their little minds, and you just don't want that to ever manifest in their life.
Right.
And so we try and be really careful with what they watch. And so no, they were never allowed to watch the news at all. So like I said, if I was covering if it was weather, we would let them watch.
Yeah.
So hurricanes or flooding here in Houston, anything like that, extended coverage type stuff where they would watch mommy. But other than that, they did not watch at all.
You must feel so good being away from a business that you weren't even okay with your kids watching.
Look, I mean, people don't have to watch at the end of the day, right? It's optional. And so, no, that was not something I ever wanted to put into my kids' little brains or minds at all. And yeah, it is refreshing to be away from that. But no, I do think there are so many positive things that go on in all communities, and the news doesn't always do a good job capturing those. You know that.
Totally. It's mainly negative sensationalism.
Yes. Yeah.
But look, overarching issue here with this DirecTV thing, like, yes, obviously we've noticed immense censorship of people on the right. We don't see personalities on the left getting snuffed off of Facebook and Twitter. So there's definitely something going on with right-wing voices being snuffed out. And I just know the culture in every newsroom I worked in leaned left. I don't know why, but for some reason the media industry overall just leans left, maybe including DirecTV. And so they want to, they're less inclined to favor a channel like Newsmax. But CNN's saying, look, you guys are overreacting a lot because things like this happen. They were talking about there was a dispute between YouTube TV, because YouTube TV is a big thing now. YouTube TV dropped MLB Network this week after a contract dispute. It's not because YouTube TV has a political bias against an MLB Network. So maybe it is just some behind the scenes thing. But it's pretty obvious that right-wing voices do seem to be censored more. So let's not negate that fact. But for sure, the kids, YouTube's where it's at. I recently went to an elementary school classroom, and kids were writing in crayon like what they want to be when they grow up. And one of them wrote, YouTuber. And I was just thinking, like, a decade or two ago, kids might be like, TV anchor.
Yeah.
No, don't want to be that anymore. YouTuber.
Yeah, that's what translates with them. They enjoy that. I mean, my kids don't understand the concept of you sit down and wait for a TV show to come on. Like, that doesn't make sense to them. They think that's very strange. Like, you go find what you want to watch and you watch it and then move on, type thing.
On demand all the way these days.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, we try and encourage our kids to be outside playing. They ride bikes, they ride dirt bikes, they ride BMX, they ride, do all these things. And so we really encourage that versus sitting on a couch watching anything, frankly.
That's good. Now, what about these iPads, though?
Oh, I know.
Kids are so addicted to screen. I'm concerned about ADD and, like, their brains being able to, like, focus on reality.
Well, and everything seems so, I mean, when you're reading Pride and Prejudice in the 7th grade, that seems really boring compared to, I'm going to watch every single dirt bike video of this specific rider that I want to watch. My kids are into that. Yeah. So it's very, like, targeted and specific. And, I just read a book a while back about, I mean, it's just sending your little dopamine receptors like, boop, 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 boop.
Right.
It's dopamine overload.
I'm concerned about dopamine addiction.
Yeah.
For not only for kids, but everyone right now.
Totally. And even myself, I mean, there's days where I'm like, okay, I've been hitting it hard. I need to just, like, on
Get
Sundays.
me off of this phone.
Yeah. I try and stay off social media and off the phone on Sundays. Just go to church, be with the family, enjoy things like that. Yeah. I try. I don't like this I think last Sunday I had some work I needed to get done and get pushed out there. So I did get on, but traditionally I don't.
When it's your job, when social media is your job, as it is for you and me, it's like, it's hard because you're on there, you're getting the dopamine hits and you're trying to just do your work and get out. And like, I don't want to be dopamine addicted. I want to get in, do the work and get out.
Right.
So I rarely watch other people's content actually because of that. I'm just like, I'm trying to do my own content. That's it.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay, let's see what viewers are saying. Let's check the comment section.
Let's see, this guy, the last one.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad that you are taking something from our show. What's Kevin saying? Parents often discouraged you from sitting on the couch watching TV. Now the same parents are addicted to the TV. Yeah,
I agree with that.
and the
I
same
agree with
parents
that.
are addicted to their Instagrams and Facebooks.
Mhm. I agree with that. Parents are just as guilty. I totally agree with that.
Okay, they're asking if we're drinking water or wine here. Okay, so I was checking out Lauren's new YouTube, and you have a new YouTube video about why you quit alcohol.
I quit drinking like almost 2 years ago. I just noticed it wasn't like I had a problem or anything like that. I just noticed I would feel yucky for like the next couple of days. Even if I had like a glass of wine or a margarita, I just noticed I felt uncomfortable and anxious and tense in the days afterwards. Not like a hangover, but just, and so I thought, I've cut out everything else. Like I don't eat sugar or wheat or dairy. So what's alcohol at this point to just cut out as well?
Wow.
And so I just feel better day in and day out not drinking. And so a friend of mine did the same thing. And so I interviewed her about it and we just did a little YouTube video.
I love that. I love that. I think topics like that people are interested in. Okay, Lauren looks great leaving Vaccine Central. Looks to have been therapeutic. Is that what we call the corporate news now? They really did try to shove that jab down people's throats, honestly.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So I still drink alcohol, but I quit sugar.
Okay.
I'd eat like 1 serving of sugar per month.
Okay.
I made that New Year's resolution in 2019.
That's impressive.
And stuck with it. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Great. It was, I didn't realize I was basically allergic to sugar. It was really bad for my skin. I would break out. So
the sugar, the dairy, the wheat, that can affect people's skin. The dairy, I literally can have like a serving or 2 of dairy and then I just wear it right here for like a week.
Really?
And I don't like that. So I quit doing it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I guess I don't naturally consume much dairy, but I know that raw milk is actually very good for you.
Yeah.
And people who are lactose intolerant can actually handle raw milk because it's
I
they're
hear that.
actually what they're intolerant of is the processing of the milk. And so they're JJ's laughing. There must be a funny comment.
Oh, no, hold on.
Okay.
We're going to go, this one. This one's stupid.
I don't eat Wheaties. I seen what it did to Bruce Cheddar.
Well, I don't eat those either. So,
Bruce, he was on the Wheaties box as a man,
Yeah.
and then he turned into a woman.
yeah. Big change, big transition. Yeah.
Oh man, you never know. But yeah, so grass-fed, so raw milk, preferably grass-fed raw milk, very good for you. So sometimes I will drive to the farm and purposely get that. Otherwise, milk's just naturally not much in my diet, and I never really crave wheat either.
Oh, you're
so
lucky.
I don't even. I don't
good.
know. I don't know if I guess cheese might be my one big dairy. I do like cheese, but I don't think I react to it the way sugar. Sugar's not good for me. But yeah, I could do without alcohol. It's so a part of our culture, isn't it?
It is, and it's strange when you completely detach from that because you realize that it's such like a social lubricant sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of a gross term, I know. But it sort of is, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
especially when you're younger, and that's kind of when you build the habit, and then after a while, you're like, why am I doing this?
Right.
So,
yes. Ivory, what do you eat for breakfast? So ever since the
Wheaties.
start of 2023, I'm back to a good habit again where I have a green drink that I make from scratch with a bunch of celery and spinach. And I actually put a little kefir in there, which is technically fermented dairy. So good for you as a probiotic. And then half a banana and like a bunch of other superfoods like bee pollen and fresh ginger. So I blend all that up. So I'm getting a bunch of superfoods every morning. And then I scramble 4 eggs. And that's my big breakfast. And it gets me going for my work. I used to eat small breakfasts, or people told me try intermittent fasting where you don't eat until like noon, and I would die. My brain wouldn't work.
Yeah.
My brain wouldn't work until I ate. So now I realize that for me, I need to eat most of my food early on and then less later on.
Well, that's what, you have to figure, I do intermittent fasting most days, but you have to figure out what works for you. You really do.
Yeah. So that's what
But I think like sugar doesn't work for anyone. I just think
sugar is poison.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah. And the sugar industry is so subsidized by our government, and it's how bad for you, how much of a drug it is, how much of it's just another form of cocaine. It is
so addictive.
It is not like driven home enough for people. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, I just interviewed recently a dietitian about childhood obesity, because that number just keeps going up literally every year. And she was saying you cannot underestimate how addictive sugar is.
Yeah.
And we forget that.
Yeah, and it's the cause of like every single illness.
Yeah, I mean, it contributes to so much.
Right. So, and that is what I keep saying. I know that we're really obsessed over this new pharmaceutical that people are sticking in their drugs is killing everyone, but we need to remember the primary things that are killing everyone, and one of them is sugar.
Sure. And you can prevent that, and you can stop that. And people, I think a lot of people, as I've become more like in the health and wellness industry professionally now, like people are so reluctant to let go of certain things. Alcohol's one.
Yeah.
I mean, you meet a lot of people who are like, I'm not giving my alcohol. I'm not giving up my cheese. I'm not giving up my weed. But if it's causing you problems, I mean, how easy of a fix is that? Right? I mean, I had health problems over the years that personally I've fixed with all food, eliminating wheat. I got very sick from wheat at one point. Had completely eliminate. I mean, like in emergency rooms, multiple times sick.
She's saying wheat, not weed.
No, wheat. Wheat. W-H-E-A-T, wheat. Yes. But so when I had to give that up, I was like, well, thank God it's just wheat. It's not something serious. I'll just, that's no big deal. And sure enough, I mean, it made a huge difference. But a lot of people are very reluctant to give things up, I've noticed.
Yeah, well, you get addicted to your favorite foods and things. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you'll be YouTubing about more topics like that, right? Health and wellness, guys. Yes. Follow Lauren's new YouTube, brand new YouTube.
Woohoo.
Going independent. Link down in my description. All right. Before we wrap this up, I was going to do one last thing. Tom Brady and Giselle have a new. It's so sad. They're such a power couple. I guess they're dating new people. That's what.
I didn't know that.
That's what the tabloids are saying. You guys.
I did not know that.
Here it is, real quick. Here it is.
I feel like I'm so driven to succeed in football, and that's taken me away from other important priorities, which are my kids, my wife.
Tom Brady might be losing on the field this year, but is he winning with his new girlfriend? Tom Brady had himself a whirlwind of a year in 2022. He retired from football, unretired, then his longtime wife, Gisele Bündchen, divorced him because he promised to retire and spend more time with his family.
When I met him, he said, listen, I'm just going to play for 10 more years and I'm going to win one Super Bowl and I'm going to be happy. But then he's like, no.
His FTX investment turned out to be a total sham, and the Buccaneers are one of the worst teams to sneak into the playoffs. Now, Tom is dating a 26-year-old Slovakian model, Veronika Rajek. And yes, he is technically old enough to be her father. Of course, nothing is confirmed, but she's dropped some hints along the way, including kicking off the conversation with a picture at a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game repping Brady's jersey, basically saying she's in love with him. With that being said, it appears that Brady may have a lot on his hands, considering she basically said her body is too dangerous for social media. Many people feel there's something odd about the recent divorce between Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. Naturally, many have already begun making assumptions about what transpired between them. Brady and Bündchen officially announced their divorce in October via Instagram.
I was trapped and I couldn't breathe.
Ending months of rumors. Shortly after that, the FTX collapse occurred. Tom Brady was one of the biggest brand ambassadors for the once $32 billion enterprise turned bankruptcy failure. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback held over 1.1 million in shares, and Gisele owned roughly 680,000 in common shares, bankruptcy filings showed. Not to mention, Gisele has already moved on to a new man, her kid's jiu-jitsu trainer, Joaquim Valente.
And it shows her jogging with her kid's jujitsu trainer.
Is that confirmed?
This is the thing. I was like, that's a tabloid. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how much of this is true.
Yeah.
Just because some blonde chick is wearing a Brady jersey at his game, that does not mean she's his girl.
Right.
And I'm just like, is Brady, like looking at Brady's personality, like, is he the type to move on to some chick who could be his daughter?
I don't
know. He seems like the loyal type. I think he's still into Giselle. And I hope that they
get back together.
Okay,
I don't know.
Let's look at his last Instagram post, you guys.
Some would think Tom Brady's life was perfect.
His Instagram post up above. No, up to the screenshots. No, yeah. It's the bottom. Yeah. So look at this. The last thing Tom Brady posted, this was a slideshow from when he announced his retirement, which was also very sad. But look, Giselle is in the slideshow multiple times. Look at that. So in announcing his retirement, he says, hey, I'm retiring for good right now. And it was such a sad little video he posted. You could tell how sad he was. But the first line up in the caption is him saying that I love my family, above football. He's saying family first, basically. And actually her comment is, she comments right there. She says, wishing you only wonderful things in this new chapter of your life, which that's lovely that she had those well wishes for him. But the way that she said that sounded like she was an acquaintance. I'm like, man, maybe they are broken up.
Would there be any tax benefits to them divorcing with that investment falling apart?
That's a good question. That is a good question. Would it be a money matter, the reason that they got divorced?
Would they, could you have would they be saving, $30 million? I have no idea. I'm just asking the question. Would they be saving $30 million in taxes if they divorce? I have no idea. I don't know.
It's a good thing to look into. For any of my viewers who are money experts, tax accountants, let us know.
Yeah, I'm
But
curious.
when I saw that, the fact that they were both invested in FTX, just knowing the typical couple, I'm like, he got her into that. He's the one who said, Giselle, FTX is the hot new crypto. It's the new Bitcoin. Get in it. And I was like, did that also lead to their divorce? Because she's like, screw you, Tom. It ended up crashing, being a scam. You cost me money.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That could have been part of it. But at the beginning,
because I would have been mad if someone cost me that much money.
I think the biggest truth, I think there was a lot of fake news in that tabloid, but there was one big truth bomb at the beginning of that when it has a soundbite from Giselle saying, yeah, he said it was going to be a 10-year thing, one Super Bowl, and he's out, back to family. And then he said he was retiring. And then he goes back on his word. And honestly, I think that was the deal breaker for her.
May have been.
Besides, we know, some of us know their political views are way different too. So they already had these
I didn't know
tensions.
that.
He's right wing, she's left wing.
Well, but I mean, if my husband was like, hey, I really want to go back and, I don't know, do another fellowship or whatever. I would be like, because my husband stayed in residency till he was 38. He was
her husband's a doctor,
Mr.
guys.
Academics. So if he today were like, I really want to go back and do another residency or rotation or whatever, I would be like,
because then you barely see him, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not thrilled, but you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, or if I was tomorrow, I'm like, I really want to go back to anchoring a morning show. My husband would be like, please don't. No, but I mean, at the end of the day, he would support me. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's, when people are like, well, he went back on his word. Well, yeah, but I mean, you changed your mind. And
right. Your heart and soul is in that game, and suddenly it's over. The thing that was your identity all your life. I'm sure that was really hard for him. And he was like, hold up, I'm still young and healthy enough. Get me back in there.
Right.
And then she felt betrayed, I think. But I hope they work it out now that he's divorced, or now that he's divorced from the NFL for real.
For real.
Maybe he can resolve his
personal
divorce with the wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, check the comments one more time, and we're over time a little bit, but this has been such a great discussion. Oh, you guys are throwing in Connect and Carrie Lake. Ooh, that is a hot topic. I got to get back to that. No time for that today, but maybe I can address those topics next week on my YouTube. So everyone, please like, share, subscribe. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell, especially because you guys, a lot of you guys have have subscribed, and now you're not seeing my videos. So, so thank you guys so much for tuning in and supporting our newest independent journalist, Lauren Freeman Roth. Click her link down in my description to her brand new YouTube for more health and beauty YouTubes.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always so good to talk to you.
It's great talking with you. Okay, guys, have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.